Hello and welcome to this live code hangout. Today we're going to be working on an open source project. You can find us on GitHub under Jerry Life, Companionship Care. This project is designed to promote companionship and wellness for elderly people by connecting them with a community of caregivers. We're going to go to the conceptual level for at least part of this session, if not the whole session, and kind of sketch out an idea, the big picture, what we're trying to solve. So this might not be as, we might not get into code during this live code session, but a lot of code is just representing ideas in any case. So I think there's an affinity between the two. So what I'm going to do is draw the domain model, basically what parts our application already has, and a new area I want to introduce to the application based on recent experiences, and tentatively calling it Companionship or Caregiving as a Service, CAAS. Companionship is the important aspect that just spending time with people is can already have a profound impact on their lives. You don't have to do much more than just typically be present and listen, receptive and engaging, while at the same time, or on the same hand, there are certain aspects that caregivers provide that are important for well-being, certain duties that they can help with, for example, running errands and things. And that's also what our application is designed to support, particular types of activities. But fundamentally, it's about companionship and well-being or caregiving. So we'll just start with our domain model, and really the software should be a reflection of, or a model of the of reality and the aspect of reality that you're trying to improve or influence. So the structure and terms used in the software should kind of map pretty closely to that. So we have people, that are sort of the core of our application. Now, some of these are software oriented, like a user account, but it's also good to include that in the domain model, because not every kind of user or beneficiary of the software tool has an account necessarily. And our other tool for Jerry Life that we've designed, called Wellbeing, here we realize that our main users who log in are not the sort of beneficiaries, the main beneficiaries, who are the elderly residents and caregiving communities. I think it's similar here with this companionship care, but in any case, some of the caregivers, namely, and care coordinators have accounts, so they'll need to be able to log in. And I suppose a fundamental aspect of caregiving is around activities, sort of just doing things together, such as running errands or going out to a cafe, things like that, but also maybe helping out with cleaning and things like that. So we just generically have labeled those as activities, and there's several types of activities. And basically, I think, if I recall correctly, you can define your own activity types, at least in our other application. I'll have to come back to that, which has trade-offs. Core is just another software term we don't have to really include in our data model. This is like in Django project, where certain files live, like the project settings and stuff, and base URL configuration, and the web server gateway interface or asynchronous server gateway interface. Such components don't really reflect reality and aren't meaningful to people who are doing activities, and the account is about as close as they'll come to that, but on the surface level, they're not really concerned about the web application architecture. And media is just allowing us to upload files and things like that. So it's for static files typically that are uploaded by the end user. In this static directory, so we've already got people in static directories for static files that are part of the web application. It serves up the such as CSS and JavaScript. Templates is another just generic web application concept that is how we render data and display it to the user. So, oh, and I actually have mockups here. Some HTML mockups. I forgot about that. Today we're going to use this draw.io tool to do concept mapping and mockups. So it's a bit fuzzy, but there's different roles of people who have a stake in our system. I'm not sure if I'll represent those here or just potentially. I'm not sure I'll go forward with that, but just to put it on the screen, we have you could call them clients. I don't want to sort of bias us too much towards commercialized caregiving, but as you'll see in a moment, there is an idea there around a commercial caregiving network, but let's just call them clients, which is also easy to confuse with like software client, but we're not. Caregivers in effect are the people who are providing care, and care coordinators. And I forgot that. And this should be left aligned. How do I do this? So I'm going to have to learn draw.io as I go. Okay. Maybe I have to. I've just done a quick cursory search of some like diagramming tools, and I think just going to go draw.io. If you have any recommendations for good diagramming tools and particularly UI mockups tools, if they have open source edition, that would be great. Please let me know. I believe this has a focus mainly on diagramming and some other kind of domain modeling, but this is not, again, necessarily software oriented. Okay, so some people, particularly the clients, will not have an account. Sorry for the delay. I do that a lot, you'll notice. So my mind goes off in mid-sentence. But some people do have accounts. So the caregiver and care coordinator has an account, and I guess as a practice, I will make these singular. That's how our data is modeled. The apps where I was getting the names from, those are pluralized, but the model, the database model, is a singular. So there we go. Then by proxy, where it gets fuzzy, but these aren't actually represented in a database table. Although they are people, that's the kind of aspect I would not want to be too software orientated. But these accounts coordinate activities with people. All right, it's not gonna hook in there. There we go. All right, so we got caregivers and coordinators. And I won't fight with these too much. It's a bit tricky. There we go. All right, so we got caregivers and coordinators who have accounts, and clients who don't necessarily have an account. We represent them as people, and they kind of come together to do activities, and activities have some attributes, but I'm not going to go into the data model right now. So that's our existing concept model, concept map. Whoops. And what I want to add is a branch here to it. To become more service orientated and allow these coordinators perhaps to kind of discover caregivers through our platform and not so much organically. And I know this is where we're going to start entering into some area of competition. I believe there are existing services that kind of provide this functionality, a network of care providers. I haven't done competitive analysis, so I don't know off the top of my head. Care.com probably is one of them. So essentially, caregiver can be a person, an individual, or an account organization with multiple caregivers. Keeping an eye over here on the chat just in case for any questions or comments. So just, I'll put that down. Yeah, so an individual or organization can be a caregiver. And I don't know the significance of circle or square. I guess the circle is more closely related to our data model, but I should be able to change those without too much hassle. So you got two types of caregivers. And caregiver will have a profile. in that profile. And this is not a software entity, but I want it represented. It'll be like a view, but not necessarily in the database. The profile will be visible in a directory. And the directory will have different views like a list, map, proximity searching, filtering by certifications or specialization. So on that note, these would more than likely be their own domain entities. So certification will perhaps have some fields and maybe related media, like uploading a picture or of your certificate. So that will be relating to a particular. I'm not sure the direction here for this relationship, but it's weird. Well, let me. It's kind of annoying. There you go. Oh. So the directory will list, and the directory should be filtered. Specialization, and make that just slightly bigger. Now, an organization can be the caregiver in a way, but organization consists of individuals. I believe we should consider that an organization is likely to want to manage multiple caregivers. So we can have a direct influence if an organization just wants to register in the directory, for example, and not worry about specifying their staff. That's probably like a legitimate use case. So let's go with that. Boing. And at the same time, they may want to list several staff. So we'll allow for that. Such. Dang it. There we go. Perfect. I believe that's about it. Location. Locations might have their own probably data model. However, the relationship, the cardinality is different. No. Well, yeah. An organization could, for example, be active in multiple cities. Yeah, so the cardinality is different. One organization can have multiple locations. Have to come back to that later. Again, not too much concern with the data model at this point. Sort of the relationships between the concepts. And getting this on paper for discussion. Oh boy. It's annoying. Oh, there we go. But I think that's it. It's kind of a short did I have to save that? Anyways, there it goes. Replace. Short session. But what it entails is or what it outlines is a new frame of reference and a starting point for some subsequent software development. But I'll go ahead and take a break, and I might continue a little bit later this afternoon with some more wireframing and potentially getting into the code base. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you're doing well, and if you're interested in doing this type of development work, whether beginner or experienced, you can stop by our GitHub profile. We have several projects, mainly Python oriented, but we do have some JavaScript code that could use some care. But our main focus is to consolidate most of our code into Python as much as possible with progressively enhanced views that will bring dynamic functionality through little bits of JavaScript or a framework like HTMX, something like that, which will kind of transparently wire the server and client together for us. Again, thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.